Hello Nottinghamshire Madness fans. Right, this is going to be an interesting video for me to do. It's about planning cycle rides. I love planning bike rides. Particularly these are led bike rides to take a group of fellow bike riders along with me. Particularly classic tweed type social rides and Brompton rides. I love the Brompton bike and I love the versatility of the Brompton. So I'm in the early stages of planning a ride. So you saw the ride I did to the Bennerley Viaduct the other day. I'm going to include that on a ride. It's going to be railway, train and Brompton. All the bikes will be able to come along, of course, but essentially with the train system and public transport, with the Brompton you can always get a ride. So I plan the ride. Electronic mapping is dying, believe it or not. So Strands, the cycling charity that initially mapped the National Cycle Network, which is an amazing network of cycle routes. Some of it isn't up to standard anymore, so it's being removed from electronic mapping, and it's being removed from new paper mapping. I've always been a fan of the paper map. From I think I was planning rides 1976, the hot summer. I was using 2.5-inch scale Lawn Surveyor maps from the library. I was laying them out in the library, on the floor, at home on the lounge floor, planning routes and going for bike rides on the early days of mountain bike stroke rally roadsters with no mud guards stroke anything you could find that you could ride. So 76 I started planning routes, obscure routes, not road routes across countryside. I lived at the time lived near Bolsover in Derbyshire. Amazing countryside, fantastic countryside. Anyway, that has progressed now through the days of paper maps becoming obsolete, electronic mapping and Garmin's, or whatever you call them, coming to the forefront. I believe tide's reversing and paper maps, particularly out-of-date paper maps, are the future. So I'm planning a ride. Let's have a look at the map. Let it get back into focus. Here we go. So it's going to be a Nottingham based ride, and we've got the Nottingham railway station here. Zoom pan out a bit. Follow the maps over. We've got a couple of maps joined together here. This is Ilkeston railway station. This is the Bennerley Viaduct I cycled over the other day. Langley Mill is up here with the railway station. Onto a different map now. From here we go from Ilkeston down to Long Eaton. All accessible by train. So Beeston railway station, that is a Nottingham to London train that stops there. So looking at the overview of my maps, I've got the maps out on the table and I'll sit here, do some mileages. Essentially my span is 2.5 miles, so it's easy to map out on these maps where we're going to go. Mileage 15-20 miles, 22 miles probably be enough, I think, on the day. So I'll start by planning the route. So back to Nottingham railway station. Stuff to see. Nottingham Embankment, amazing. Wilford, Dunkirk flyover, Queensmead. All stuff with history to look at. We've got here Attenborough Nature Reserve, Beeston, fantastic community its own right, Woolton Hall. All this stuff to look at. Then we come up here, and then we've got the Beneley Viaduct, which will be the highlight of the ride, I guess. The ride will concentrate on railway and canal networks, transport history, somewhere nice for lunch, coffee stops abundance, food stops abundance. So that is how I start planning the ride. So I get a rough idea of where I want to go in my head. Then you get on the internet and search for stuff that will be of interest, stuff I know of, stuff I don't know of, looking books of Nottinghamshire curiosities, stuff like that, and piece together a ride which will give us probably 10 viewpoints or 10 points of interest to stop photographs, have a discussion. We're going to start at the railway station with an easy London connection, an easy northern connection, which fortunately Beeston does, Nottingham does, but Beeston certainly does. Ilkeston, train stop there. So we'll get a ride planned for this summer. Like I say, it will be a Brompton ride, and anybody with a Brompton will be invited. Look on Facebook, look at Brompton Nottingham, Brompton B75, London Brompton Club, Sheffield Brompton. It'll all be on there. Have a look on Facebook at these groups. Failing that, I'm sure you can find a way to contact me through YouTube. It's not Nottinghamshire Madness, you know the name. It's not that difficult to find people these days. So I'm in the early stages of planning a lovely Brompton ride of about 22 miles maximum. Nottingham, Langley Mill, Long Eaton-ish based. Loads of stuff to see, loads of history. Rallies were built in Nottingham. Sturmey Archer 3 Speeds came from Nottingham. Probably pull some of that in. There's loads of stuff I'll pull in. So keep looking, and a ride will be posted. I'll do a video on exploratory rides. I'll probably do an exploratory ride, probably out of Langley Mill next week if the weather's as good as it's been this week. Probably try to get that down to Long Eaton, check that section of the route out. Part of it is good, part of it is not so good. Then get a route over to Nottingham-ish via Beeston. It's going to have to be via Beeston or via Woollerton and back via Beeston, because train connections out of Nottingham. Endless opportunities to come along and join in the ride. So thank you for watching my little video on there on maps and ride planning and whatever. I just believe you don't have to rely on the electronics. So that's it. I'd like you to click like if you've liked the video. I'd like to subscribe to the channel. It's something I'm enjoying doing, and drop me a message anytime. So thank you for watching, and happy mapping. And just remember, a person without a map is lost. Thank you.